All right, welcome back to another episode of Kameo Podcast. Thank you once again, Reeve, for hosting us here at the Five Bean Brew Bar on the North Shore. He's generously provided any of my guests $15. Just to be completely open, honest, that's how my guests get a little bit of a thank you, and it's because it's not coming out of my pocket. It's not happening. My guest today, you may have seen her on the Ninth Company socials in the last week. Jessie Faubert has been taking lots of promotional pictures for a variety of community characters, and I'm going to butcher her name, and I'm going to guess that it's Indian. Natalie Sarai?
Sorry. It's actually Finnish.
Finnish? What does it mean?
It means island.
Island?
Yes.
That's cool.
That's what the word translates to. So I was in Finland a couple of years ago when I was pregnant, and I would see my name everywhere, like on street signs and everything, because it means island.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. That's kind of beautiful. I think
pretty
island life is like definitely a vibe that can explain what I'm picking up from you at this moment.
Yes. Well, I prefer that type of travel, warm island travel. Going to Finland is a little bit different.
But Finland has like big waterfalls and whitewater kayaking.
It's pretty spectacular, but when I was there, it was full-on winter.
Okay.
Oh, it was cold, but it was wonderful.
Your real European roots, just, get to experience them.
Yeah, well, that's, I guess, would be half. My dad's side is Finnish, and then our other side were Métis, and
Classic.
that's why my name is Nathalie, French.
You're a real Canadian mutt, just like me.
Yes, yeah.
Congratulations. True
Yeah.
Canadian. What would you say defines you when people are going to scroll your Instagram, because that's how we define people these days. You're in that yogi space for the most part, the mental health, the mental, I don't even know if I want to use mental health, the mental wellness space, I think is a safer word.
Yes. Yeah, I think most people would think yoga, if they're thinking of me, but that's probably because I've been doing it for a long time, probably since 2000-ish,
Okay.
So quite some time.
Good 2 decades.
Yeah, and it's like a passion. It's something that I believe in. It's part of my everyday practice. But what I do most days is working with people one-on-one as a kinesiologist, so that's a bit different. I don't really post a bunch of that.
You got the real science hidden behind.
Yeah, that's sort of my background. Well, it's not sort of my background. It is my background, but that's really bleeds into everything that I do with yoga.
You are like the living definition of like half of the girls in like my gym class in grade 9 who are like, I want to be a kinesiologist, and I'm just
really?
like, good luck.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of
luck.
people were really interested in it when you must be around the same age as me.
27.
Yeah.
27
Well,
club.
Oh no, I'm a little bit older than you then.
It's okay. We don't judge here.
But
No, we don't
unfortunately,
judge.
a lot of people who were athletic in their younger years, that seems like an obvious transition to go
Yeah.
into kinesiology. And I think a lot of people did. Like, I might have been that first wave. And then a lot of people couldn't get jobs. 'Cause
Yeah.
there just isn't any jobs. So then
No.
people would go back to school, or they'd go into construction or whatever. So I had moved to Kamloops right after my degree because my parents moved here.
Where did you go for your degree?
University of the Fraser Valley.
Okay, gotcha.
And there was nothing going on here. There was like 2 kinesiologists, and they were working at like a big OR1 program. And so, yeah, everything just kind of blossomed around that time. The hospital was starting this cardiac program, so I started working there. Did that for over a decade, and then I started a little kinesiology practice, working mostly with car accident rehabilitation, ICBC, and then that's become my full-time gig for many years now.
So are you self-employed then?
Yes.
Nice. Congratulations. You escaped. You pulled it off.
Yes. In some ways it seems like the only way, but there's so many hardships with that too.
Absolutely. People don't understand that level because they're not playing at it.
Yeah. There's, people see you must be making tons of money, well, there's also huge expenses, and there's a ton of extra time that you're not paid for. So
Yeah.
it kind of works out to you're doing it because you love it, or you shouldn't be doing it,
Yeah.
because it's not always for the money.
They want to value you based off of the images in the background of your Instagram. Is basically what it comes down to.
Yeah. Or
I love playing with that personally.
exactly. And I was in a bad car accident about a couple years ago, and had a big head injury and couldn't continue the job I was doing at the hospital. It just wasn't fitting. And I needed something that would be more flexible so that I could work, or I could take time off work or cancel or reschedule. And so I basically shifted into full private practice and opened a center called Exhale Center, which is...
That's you. Okay.
Yeah, that's my... It basically was a perfect space because it used to be an art gallery, so it has these great lighting everywhere. And when my concussion was really bad and I needed to dim the lights and kind of create a really specific environment, then I could do that for myself.
Yeah.
And then also we deal with people that have head injuries and concussions all the time.
My mom's an OT.
Oh, really?
And
Great.
like, you know, like the mom who's not your mom but would sign your death certificate. She had a really bad concussion, and I didn't really understand, like, when her daughter fell off a horse and had a bad concussion, what it really meant until, like, you see, like, your mom's mom have to have a separate cottage to lay down in the dark because, like, you can't play cards at a hush level.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Just how stimulus of any kind can be so incredibly overwhelming and fatiguing, like just draining your energy.
Trying to explain, like, someone, like, how, say, autism works, like, understanding, like sensory stuff is so difficult to explain to someone.
Yes.
And how to recharge is, like, it's tough.
And then when you're going through that, you know, you have expectation of yourself where I can do this, you know, I can do X, Y, Z in the morning before I head out, and then go to work for a couple hours and do this and go out for dinner. Well, that would be an everyday thing. Well, sometimes just the few things in the morning is already too much, and then the day you're wiped. I just had a really hard time with memory for quite some time. Like, I would walk into a room and completely forget what I'm doing there, and then
I'm just
come into full
though.
tears and just feel like you're so lost in your own mind. And especially when you're used, like, I used to pride myself on my intelligence and my wittiness and just all the things that I would do with the kinesiology world. When I was first going back to work, it was really hard to sort of come up with the words, and also just to even speak sometimes, like to word find. So I've done a tremendous amount of my own rehab, and also like a lot of denial at first of like, this isn't happening to me, I can get through this.
Word find. Let's just find that further.
Yeah.
In your head, like, can you see the word and you just can't say it, or are you just saying the wrong thing?
It's sort of like you know what you want to say, but you can't figure out the word to explain it. You can't find it.
Do you decide to play with that and roll with it with the flow, or do you get frustrated?
Usually, in the past, I'd get super frustrated. There was a lot of frustration, anger, and that's kind of a byproduct of head injuries as well, and anxiety and depression and all those things. So
it's always a mixed bag.
It's always a mixed bag, and I think anyone who's a therapist, who works in the therapy world, you help people along their recovery path, and you kind of know what's coming. Oh, this person's going to be super frustrated and overwhelmed, anxiety at this stage, and then they may overcome that. And so you think that it won't happen to you, that you're not susceptible to all those things. So it was a big eye opener.
Do you watch your cycles, or do you cycle at all?
I think, now it's more predictable, and symptoms are way more manageable.
Yep.
But there's some things that just, have not changed in a couple of years. So I don't know if that might be something permanent, but
we're all stuck in our ways in one manner or another.
Yeah.
It's change is slow. It's very, very slow. Like, I'm trying to transition off drinking pop all the time. And you can see the big push for carbonated water right now. It's insane.
Yeah.
And some's good, some's bad. Some taste like cough syrup. Some Tastes
Seems
like
like
water.
everything is bad nowadays. If it's not fresh and you're not making it yourself,
Pretty
but
much.
who has the time?
But even at that level, people push it way, way too far.
Yeah.
I struggle hugely with the essential oil community. Okay? That's like an off-limits no-go for me. I don't care who you are. I will smash your face in the ground on that conversation. It's like people aren't very good at balancing out the science with experimentation through scientific rules. It's like they like I was never good at science. I only passed science because my lab partner was cute and wrote my name on all her reports. They forget the actual scientific manner of putting on the glasses, starting the Bunsen burner, and seeing what happens.
Proper clinical trials.
Proper clinical. That's the word. There we go. Word, whatever we called it.
Good word finding.
There we
yes,
are.
and there's a lot of things in this world that people believe in that there aren't enough clinical trials on.
That's where the
But it
the
doesn't mean
hacking
that
community is fascinating because, like, where do you draw the line? Because you look at
Yeah.
Dave Asprey, he had the real resources to do some stuff. Some kid in his garage should not be reading Dave Asprey and applying it to his life at 13 years old. Would I be that kid? Possibly, you know.
Well,
But
unfortunately, like when it comes down to kids, babies, kids, youth, there's a lot of things that we don't know because you can't
Yeah.
test it. And
what traits do you see in your child that reflect you?
she just turned 2.5, so she's a fiery little being. She has loads of energy, but it's funny. My partner is also very energetic, and when our moms talk about us as kids, we were the kids like bouncing off the couches and just crazy energy. And so she's basically a mix of both of us. So that I'm really noticing. I don't know.
In a good way or bad way?
I think it will be good, but it's also bad. It's challenging as a parent, you know, when you constantly have to be providing ways for her to burn off that energy. Like she's not someone who you could come and have her sit here and read a book while we're sitting and chatting. We'd be wrangling her every like 30 seconds.
I resort to holding her upside down. She's a fan of that.
Oh, how old is yours?
She's not yet 2.
Okay.
April 3rd.
That's
So
the best. Yeah, I just love her so much. It's just, we only have one child, and hopefully one day we can have another one, but it's just changed everything for me, you know, like everything else is just half important.
yeah, I get that.
I'm trying to figure out how to create more space so that I can not miss out on moments.
That's a fascinating topic that like I play with a lot. Like I was having a little argument with my wife about like, she's like, "You're not helping." I'm like, "I'm doing the chores. Chores are help. Like it's the definition of help,
Yeah.
right? The idea of like, if something takes you 5 minutes but takes me an hour, well, why am I doing it? You know what I mean? And this idea of finding the right balance of space, right? Like you know, leveraging your talents.
Sharing responsibilities, but doing it in an efficient way.
Absolutely.
And kind of, we're going through the same thing. Like, I hate to say, like, redefining your roles. You know, like,
Totally.
the roles in the house of what the man
God,
does.
I fucking hate that
so
shit.
frustrating. And, you know, we live in this world of equality. And, you know, our relationship before having children, we were very equal and would share all things. And then, you know, it's funny, as soon as you have a child, the woman falls more into the woman role and the guy. And then we struggle with that a bit, and then we're like, no, wait a minute, but this is working. And so it's a constant reevaluation.
I don't even know if it's such like an unfair way of viewing like when someone says I do everything, and it's like, okay, the fact that I can point out even 1% of what I did invalidates your thing. I know it's how you feel right now, but your feelings are overpowering the fact that we have a problem, let's define a solution. I could care less about your feelings now. Let's just talk. And that's the problem.
It all comes down to the communication. When we get frustrated and then we use words like always, everything,
only the
never,
fifth deals and absolutes.
And then none of those things are true. So, I think having a child, it tests your relationship in all ways, shapes, and forms. And, I think it's always going to be a bit of a struggle.
I push back on the word true, too, because it's true to that person and their reality. Because, if you think, if more people need to think quantum, they got to think the full spectrum and then pick out the sliding scale that works for them, right? Yeah. If you're a man's man, but you wear the frilly apron, to barbecue, who cares, right? Like, barbecue rolls is a great way to define manliness, or drywalling, or anything at all at this point, right? Your husband's ability to yoga probably should trounce most iron workers in the mental health world.
If he ever did yoga.
Oh, shout out! Call out.
No. Yeah, but I think that expectations have to drastically change as you change, as things change, as the house changes. When a little person who's evolving and changing so quickly in front of your very eyes, like, you have to be open to change. Yeah. It's super tough because you get stubborn a bit and you want things to be a certain way, and then realize, wait a minute, I'm just creating more challenges for myself. Yeah.
My new mantra is that I'm using, that I stole, is life is short, be as gay as you want. And I'll just leave that up to like everyone to like interpret in their own way, because it's fascinating how they take it. Yeah. Right? Like, the way I take it is like, I want my daughter to have options. That's it. Like, how simple is that? Like, I feel like so many people just don't understand their limiting beliefs. Yeah. I could care less about them. I lose friends every day. Yeah. I don't want to limit my daughter's beliefs just yet. I'll limit them when she does some bad shit that I know I am capable of. Then I'll limit them. But that's like, she's 2. She can't do anything yet.
Yeah, it's so challenging to, like, when you want your child to grow up to be independent, and strong, and know who they are, and have dreams, and be able to see those through. And there's so many suggestions of the way you should parent, and then the way you were parented, and then it's like, oh my God. Some days I'm like, this is how I'm going to do things, and then I'm like, wait a minute, am I doing the right thing? You're constantly
you're pulling from both directions every single time, and that's that. People can't understand the idea of pulling from both directions because politics are so polarizing. Yeah, everything's so polarizing. I remember one of my good friends, early high school years. We kind of had our off and on relationship. Guy girl. Same person, different genders, never date sort of situation. Yeah. And her mother was a minister. And her mother told me I was gay because I was going through puberty. And I had a squeaky voice. So therefore, I'm gay because I wore girl pants because I was an emo kid. Oh. How fucked up is that? You're a minister.
So brutal.
Right?
But it's crazy the things that people say to each other in those stages of early development in school, whether that's from peers, obviously from kids being mean to other kids, but also teachers and family. And, those things leave such an imprint. You've probably never forgot that and how it made you feel. No, my earliest memory is like my neighbor drowning on my birthday, right? Like imprints are like everyone talks about like Team Bella or Team Jake on like Twilight. Let's use that bad, horrible series. I don't even know what that is. Right? Twilight series, the movie. It's like, it's old, right? But like, but the whole idea of like, there's this like imprinting concept they talk about, right? Same as you, right? Like, is it imprinting or is it remembering? And then when you talk about it, then you get shamed. That's the fascinating part. Yeah. And that's what I deal with. But whatever, who gives a fuck? Let's talk about Now Sarai. What else do you do in this community? Kamloops. What makes you excited about Kamloops right now? Well, what's exciting is, so since having a baby, since having a car accident I haven't been teaching yoga.
Crazy you put those in parallel right there.
Well, I
Having a baby, car accident. They're both traumatic
they were both
experiences.
around the same time. Like I had the accident,
shit.
and then within a year, no, I think 4 months after it, I was pregnant.
Oh, wow. That's
So
quick.
anyways, and then I don't know if I can teach regularly, one because of this, but also just because of time. And anyway, I love teaching yoga, and I love doing community events so that people can come together and try yoga and have this wonderful experience. And I love when we do collaborations with live musicians and things like that, and the energy is just so great. So I basically said to myself, well, I'm not going to let this go completely. I will try to create space to do one event a month or every couple of months on average, so that I can really get excited, put all my energy into one event. And then instead of, it was never for profit for me anyway, so I wanted to make it non-profit every time. And I've been doing yoga or teaching yoga for adults forever, and started to teach yoga for youth a while back, several years ago, and there really is a need for that in Kamloops. There was only...
The kids are angry. They're not all right.
They're not all right. And, in other bigger cities like Vancouver and in Saskatoon, they have these yoga for youth programs that are really established in schools, and they are making a huge difference, a huge impact. So I basically created a partnership with Vinyasa Yoga for Youth, which is where I did the training.
Vinyasa, for those who don't know, is a moving yoga.
It's the movement, connection of breath and
As
movement
flow.
as a flow. Yes.
Yeah.
And it's the more traditional name for that.
It's less posing, more
flowing.
Tai Chi. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, totally. That's a good way to
See,
explain it.
I'm pretty well versed. I did a yoga challenge, 30 yoga challenge or whatever it be with hot yoga. I got the T-shirt in the bag. Oh yeah, that's how I got my
Hot
wife
yoga,
too.
that's hard
I got a
too.
wife out of yoga.
That's great.
Yeah, I had a bus from Sahali all the way to the Brock Yoga Center to basically go to yoga class with a girl who had a boyfriend.
Really?
Yeah, now we got a kid.
Wow. That's amazing.
Sucker. What a simp.
That's
Anyways,
amazing.
yeah.
Well, yoga really does change. It can create an opportunity for people to find change within themselves, and it does form connections and community. And some of the basic principles of yoga, basically mindfulness and learning to control your breath, you can really learn to create change in yourself when it comes to anxiety.
You say breath, I say praying.
Yeah,
You say
it could
flow, I say movement. Like I could make parallels to soccer. I could make parallels to mountain biking. Like
Yeah, there's just different perspective, and it's a way to form a connection, I think, with self. And for little kids who are, say, going through major development, have a lot going on, maybe come from a home that isn't totally stable. Anxiety, as you know, is so prevalent in kids in schools nowadays at such an early age. It's an epidemic. It's crazy.
That's the question. I don't know if it's an epidemic or if we're just noticing it, because
Maybe.
It's all about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Like we finally have society figured out. For the most part, we've established the first world and we've established the third world. We've got the hierarchy.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about entertainment. Well, entertainment means mental health and what's going on in your head.
Well, now there's more resources, so they're recognizing when kids or people have issues, and there is more resources available. So that is a huge bonus, and that's sort of what this is. The Yoga for Youth is a resource to teach kids to empower themselves and how to self-regulate their emotions. And
Have you ever read Malcolm Gladwell?
no,
He's a Canadian author
yeah,
out of Ontario, and he writes about how Bill Gates became Bill Gates. He became Bill Gates because of these reasons: location, programs, socioeconomic class or whatever it be. Right? It's stacking the deck. Right? It's socioeconomic eugenics.
interesting.
Right?
I'm gonna look that up.
Yeah. Go to the library. It's on Libby. If you use the Libby app, If you don't have a library card, you should get a library card because there's sweet audiobooks you can get for free. Shout out Libby. But yeah, basically like any NHL player is born the first 3 months, like 90% of them.
Yes, I heard that. That's crazy,
Right?
isn't it?
The reason why, right? You think about it this way. Go back to your daughter's age. She goes into kindergarten, right? She's 6 months behind in development. So the teacher's going to focus on the leading class by bias because they're going to think they're
Guess
smarter.
when my birthday is December 30th.
Ooh, ouch. See, and that's the funny thing, though, is the hierarchy of the social world of school. Yes, they rank people, and they're like, these people are smarter. But let's go back and look at grades and then compare successes. You know, like, I'm going to trounce people and clown on them all day long based off of what they consider success, right? You know,
I was just going to say that. What do you consider success? You know, like, yeah, NHL player, I don't want to hack on that, but like, how much education did you get when you didn't really have to?
How many brain injuries
apply
have you
yourself
sustained
in school? And
you know,
yeah, how much life experience?
How many fists have gone through the wall, right? Like that's, you know, what unit are we using to measure? And that's success is, it's got to be happiness. That's what you know, my guru is Gary Vaynerchuk, because I'm in the business world, right? So, you know, trying to get happy is a hilarious
and also
journey.
like your definition of wealth, you know, like I keep saying to my partner, what we need to focus on is gaining time. Like if we could work a bit less and we had more time together and with our family, that's really the ultimate. So figure it out.
Yeah. My wife, like I was complaining yesterday, like, yeah, I need to get my eyes checked or whatever it be, right? You know, I've been putting that off for far too long. It's still good enough, but I know it's not where it should be. She's like, yeah, but you just spent on that Fitbit watch or whatever it be. I'm like, yeah, but that Fitbit watch opens up more time. So the sunk cost of that $300 provides higher value than me getting my eyes checked. And I'm sorry, you don't have the perspective to understand that you are the one getting the most value out of this, not me.
Because then you're more efficient with your time because
Exactly.
you're more organized and
Right?
Yeah,
It's people pushing their agendas on you.
and the list of to-dos is like my worst nightmare, you know, and I have to make a list still because I still forget stuff a lot. And some days, you know, you look at it and you think like, this is never ending. How am I going to get through all this? Plus take care of a little person and run a business and all the rest. But sometimes I wonder, like, what if I just said, fuck this, and threw the list away and just said, I'm not going to deal with any of that?
You have
what would
no
happen?
idea how I've been living.
What would really happen? Like,
Nothing.
would you die? Would
Nothing
anybody die?
happens.
Would it be that bad?
I've like, you could put a gun to my head and say, write a list of things, and like, it literally doesn't matter.
It really, we get so fixated on all these little things and create so much pressure on ourselves to get everything done. And everybody is so overworked. You know, when you look in the weekend and you see all these people, all they're doing is grocery shopping and washing their cars. And it's like, you spend the weekend.
Pay the $15, get Save on Foods to deliver to you. Like that's literally.
Like, why wash the car? Really? Like,
Oh, I never clean my car. My wife has a beautiful Clean Escape, right? Like, you know, they detailed it for her because she works at a dealership. Mine looks literally like you dragged it out of a sewer. Who cares?
Yeah.
You know, the trap life. You know, a lot of people forget, you know, we came from dirt. We're returning to carbon. That's literally the science of it.
Yeah, and I'm approaching 40, and
No, you're not.
I'm pretty close, a couple of years away. And I never thought I would really care about life and feel like that pressure. But suddenly I'm like, wow, like I really want to figure out how I can start to settle, you know, like being able to enjoy my daughter and let her, like, help her kind of move ahead with her path and not be working constantly and overwhelmed with this huge list of things and just feeling completely overwhelmed.
Have you found, like, there's, like, a certain room in your house that you just, like, it's easier for you to focus on your kid?
No, I find the easiest time for me to connect with her is when we're outside and in nature. And even if it's just going for a little walk around the house in the yard or down the street, then there's no distractions. The house, there's distractions because I do a lot of the stuff. Actually, my mom lives with us, so she helps me
That's
a
very
ton.
nice.
She's been a huge help over the years. But
That's a fascinating thing as well, right? Like the idea of longhouses. Like I come from Ontario, so I remember going to museums or reserves to see the longhouses and the concept of community in a longhouse, right? Like, do you know how like living in your mom's basement is not a diss.
no, not at all.
Having your
And
mom living in your basement, that is an honor. Like that is
it's amazing. And, she would even speak to that of how wonderful it's been for her to be able to be with her granddaughter through all of these stages and have such a strong connection.
It's like,
and also her and I rebuilding a connection, and
it's just like my
special.
mom never gave away candy for Halloween till we left the house. She was the one giving away pencils and granola bars.
Oh.
Yeah, you know exactly who my mom is. Mech Cadillac growing up. That's who I was.
Yeah.
Right? But, I also have my parents back east, but I got the grandparents here,
Nice.
and they're the daycare as well,
Nice.
right? The literal, regulated government
Great.
daycare, right? So it's very, very fascinating to see, how I can stack the deck.
Yeah. Yeah, we've tried to figure out if there was a way that we could continue doing cohabitation, tried to see if we could find a house that would be big enough for her things as well. And it's funny how our society is just so focused on everybody having their own dwelling.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll, maybe you'll shift back to that because that's just life. But if I had it my way, I'd love for her to stay with us forever because I love seeing her every day and being able to have the chat after the day and eating together. And
The minimalism as well as the densification of personal property is what I'm fascinated with as well.
yeah.
I could totally Steve Jobs my life and just wear the same thing and sleep on a mattress on the floor like he did. I'm not gonna just eat fruit because I'm not an idiot, but the idea of having my parents living in a side home, a carriage home,
Yes.
freaks my wife out. But it's you, literally looking at the dollars and cents of it, it makes more sense. You could have an in-care support worker for less than going to a retirement home, and the standard of living,
Yeah.
the quality of living would be huge.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, my grandparents recently moved into a home, the Berwick, which
Berwick in the Park,
we
great
thought
home.
that would be the best thing for them, just because of just disease and some health issues, and just wanting to make sure they had immediate care if something were to happen. But it's just crazy to see the deterioration and the aging, how quickly it's been accelerated since being in a place like that. And I go and visit them every Wednesday, and Isla, my daughter, she'll visit and hang out and play with them. And she has the best time, and they have the best time. It's the highlight of their week. And yeah, part of me wishes I could move them back out, move them into an extension of our home, and have a nurse next door come. But it's how do you even?
That's just too much burden, though.
It's just a lot of, and one more big thing on the list, right? But it would just be so nice to have them closer and in a place that they felt really happy.
Yeah, I'm not I told you, I'm a very negative person, and so I think about death a lot, and I we've been to so many funerals not worth attending. It's it's why not live when you're living and make your funeral worth attending? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You're literally your way out of life is just another big burden.
Yeah.
Whether it be mentally, but mostly financially.
That's why I'm loving those when people do celebration of life, more or less, where people just come together and it's a potluck or whatever, and people share food and memories, and it's
the flip side of the coin, right? And it's more necessary because the more you do it, right? My earliest memories are death. I'm the next generation to be in control, and all we think about is death. That's kind of sad.
It is.
Right? People aren't at my level in terms of comfortability of that,
I'm not really comfortable with it, to be
which is
totally
not
honest.
a nice thing. It makes you a sociopath. Don't be like me, people.
Well, I think there is value. It is important to be able to accept and have an understanding with death, and how you get there, I think, is often through experience, unfortunately. And
Yep, it's the only way.
yeah, and a lot of people say, well, as a yogi, you should be comfortable with life and death, and I'm still kind of working on that piece.
It's like I used to think like being, sitting on the fence was a bad thing. My joke was like, if you sit on the fence, you get a wedgie. Like that was my joke when I was like in fourth grade or whatever. Right? Because I thought like being an atheist was dumb, but also being God was dumb, but being apathetic about it all was also dumb, right? But that's kind of how you have to be. You have to pull from both sides.
Well, nothing. I shouldn't even use the word nothing, because that's so definitive. But
nothing, nowhere. It is what it is.
It's you have to be able to look at things in different perspectives, because there isn't one right way. Things aren't black and white. And if you live life black and white, I think you create more frustrations and challenges for yourself.
Well, I love art, but like I like Andy Warhol, right? And the way he like puts it out, like this is just a can of soup, but this is my version of a can of soup. I've never looked at a can of soup the same ever again. But people don't have that same visceral reaction.
Yeah.
Right? Like, the concept of getting a soup and getting the can opener and opening, or now you have the rip-off lids. Like his joke on society has evolved so much more, and we've forgotten the mockery he made of it.
Some people can't relate to art, or abstract art in particular, and don't see the value in it. And I think that's a reflection of personality. And I don't think everybody can see it, because we are all different beings. And the black and white person has a place in this world versus the person that can see all different shades. But it's difficult for those two people to relate.
Absolutely. Yeah, those black and white people, they need to be pouring the asphalt to make the roads safe, right? They don't need to be...
to make sure there's certain things that need to be bang on. Yeah. Whereas...
I'm not a carpenter. Don't ask me to build you shit.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not happening. I know how to destroy stuff. I'm excellent at that.
Have you ever been to that? I heard that there's a place in Kamloops where they wreck things.
Yeah, the Rec Room. I've been invited to them. Marlene Hibbs, who's the homie, suggested I go there, but I haven't made it out just yet. Maybe I'll go there for a date. To be honest, I don't know. It depends on the day. You know what I mean?
It has to be, you have to go based on how you feel.
On the mood.
Yeah.
And my type of destruction is a different type of destruction too, right? So it's, it all depends on behaviors. I think it's fun. Another early memory of mine is in first grade, they had a destruction pit, like a take apart old toys and stuff. You never see that in a first grade room ever again, because imagine just ooh, here's mercury, right? Here's a microwave, let's take it apart. That was but that level of, taking things apart and understanding how they work, right? That's how I learned, you know? But, we're pretty deep in now. What's something we haven't talked about that, we think we need to put out there into the universe?
Oh, well, good question.
My favorite question? What's something that people often get wrong about you or misunderstand about you? That's my favorite question.
Yeah, that's a good one. Well, obviously we did touch on, people always assume that, as with my yoga background, that I'm the ultra yogi, whatever that means.
I think when they see
I'm
co-sleeping with the baby and the yoga and they start stacking him up, because fuck it, I don't sleep in the same bed as my wife most nights. That's just a reality. We don't co-sleep.
It's a stage, though.
I like firm, she likes soft.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
People are fucking dumb. That's what it comes down to. Most people can't say that, but I'll say it. People are dumb. Sorry for, changing your mood right now. I can see it.
That's okay. I try to be super compassionate. Like, I try to practice being that way because part of me feels very frustrated a lot of the time.
Practice makes perfect.
And, I think I struggled with being frustrated and angry for many years. And part of it is from the things that happened. And I don't know, sometimes I wonder if part of it is just part of who I am. But
Yep. Do you feel people hold your blonde hair against you in the sense like, you can't be angry, you're blonde?
No, I think one thing that does frustrate me is that people think because I'm blonde that I'm some blondie.
The Mean Girls
without
stereotype.
without any intelligence, or the fact that I'm Métis, some of the...
Shout out Louis Riel.
Yeah.
Fucking, he's the
might
homeboy.
No one would ever guess that, right?
No.
So,
They shouldn't guess that. That's the thing, though.
Yeah.
Like, there's no need to guess that. Unless you offer it up. Like, why is that relevant? Is my thing, right? I play with image a lot, like way too much. It's probably going to be the death of me. So
yeah, it's interesting too about image. Like, after becoming a mom, a lot of people say like, oh, after you have kids, you let yourself go. Well, I don't know if it's that you let yourself go or you don't
moms
care
get hotter.
anymore.
No.
Your priorities change. Like, even today, as it's snowing out to get here, I had to run all the way out to Valley View to drop her off at daycare, and then all the way out here.
I'm sorry for rushing you.
Oh, no. But like all the things just to get the child to where they need to be and make sure that they have all the things, the lunch, the this and that. I get here and I pull in, I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even brush my hair, or, I'm lucky that I'm fully dressed and I arrived. And whereas before it would be like, ooh, I get a shower and do my hair before I leave the house. That just never happens anymore.
The greatest mom in social media history is Casey Neistat's wife, Candace Poole.
Okay, I have to look her up.
She is the queen of not giving a fuck, and she has got the biggest scowl on her face all the fucking time because her husband just shoves a camera in her face all the fucking time.
Really? Oh.
Casey Neistat's like this YouTube prankster. He like before YouTube, he was very good at attention hacking. I learned a lot from him. And his wife is a badass entrepreneur who like makes jewelry, and she has a company called Billy with an exclamation point. So very New York, very trendy. They do well, right? But look her up. They had a podcast called Couple Therapy, and you really get to know like, oh, they ain't the same, but they work, So it's like,
I'm always looking out for a good podcast. That's great.
Podcasts are great in short bursts, right? To find something that you connect with and then
take what you need from it.
Tim Ferriss says you should only connect with like 5% of a podcast, essentially, right? Like, I don't listen to podcasts anymore. Why should I? Right?
You're making them.
Yeah, right? Like, it's about using what you learn, right? If you should be excited when someone stops coming to your yoga practice, in theory.
Or even kinesiology. Like, just in the last little while, I've had 2 people in the last 2 weeks just phone and be like, you know what? Like, I don't think I need to come back because I'm doing good and I'm taking the tools that you've given me and I think I'm okay. And I'm like, that's exactly what we aim for. And it doesn't happen that as often as you'd like because the majority of the people we work with have significant chronic pain, significant physical injuries, and also mental health, which is why they usually do kinesiology and counseling at the same time.
And understanding, we're taking money out of our wallets by stopping you at that point. Like saying, no. Your happiness is worth more than us taking your money. Like that's success with money brought into it, in my opinion.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, that's the goal. There's always going to be other people to fill that spot. It's just a matter of getting people to where they need to be, hopefully in a short period of time. But some people just take longer depending on their journey, right? And
So many people don't have a small, tight circle, right? You know, you got to keep your friends
Support
few.
system.
Yeah, right. You know, your day ones in the hip hop world, right? Not many people I know still have day ones or ever had day ones, right? And so I try my best to be a day one for them without crossing that boundary, which is like, which boundary do you cross?
Yeah.
You know, there's certain ones I don't want you into, right? And certain ones you don't want me into, right? But people always, it's that give and take, right? Like you come to an agreement, you settle your terms, you move society forward, right? So, but where can people find you if they're interested, or where is your next yoga workshop if you've planned it?
Well, for sort of therapy and one-on-one care, our center is on Victoria Street. It's called Exhale Center, and people can walk in.
Are you in one of the houses?
It's a little green heritage house. Yeah, we've
you by
turned it
Fraser
into a
Financial, that area?
Therapy center. It's right across the street from the Dairy Queen.
Okay, I know where you are. Yeah.
Yeah, on the corner of 8th and Victoria. So you don't need a doctor's referral. Anyone who's been in a motor vehicle accident, an ICBC claim, we do tons of that and can direct bill ICBC so that people don't have to pay out of pocket. And otherwise, we do one-on-one private work. And we have a couple counselors there as well that are amazing. And then right now for yoga, I'm collaborating with Lululemon and the United Way, and we're doing this really fun tour of fitness called the Sweat Tour. And
here's my OG check. Have you ever owned anything by Lululemon that was made in Canada?
Yes.
Nice. Me too.
Yes, because I and this is the thing with Lululemon. I know a lot of people think differently of the company, but
I think many things.
I really, you know, when I was young and just got into yoga and it just opened, I really, you know, that was my first experience of Lululemon, and, you know, they've gone through lots of big growth over the years. You know, now they're really
CEO's
focusing on putting back into community. And since they opened the store in Kamloops,
they've been moving big.
They have been doing great things. Bev, who opened the store, and now she's moved on, and Corey's now the manager. They focus so much work or so much time and energy into community and want to support people like myself who are doing great things to do even better things. So with them, I'm very grateful for
I like
their
what
support.
I like the path that they've gone. Like there was that time with their CEO that, you know, if I got a chance to meet him, sure, I'll meet him, but I don't like him. But it's very cool to see how it has grown and how it's come back around. Like Lululemon really could be, you know, the next, I don't want to use Under Armour, but Nike's probably a better thing.
Yeah, they've expanded in a beautiful way, and with their successes, they're giving back.
Yeah.
And I think that's what really is important to me. They've really supported the nonprofit Vinyasa Yoga for Youth. They've been so helpful with all of our events for that.
It's a manner of almost wealth distribution through brand is what it is. And I don't want to go full commie on people, but it's, you want to spend $200 on a jacket, do it. You know, if $20 of that goes back to the community and, you know, puts a kid, you know, in a pair of shoes doing yoga and doesn't join a gang, well, that makes my life easier.
Absolutely.
And it that's a sense of pride. Like I'm wearing a Lululemon hat.
Yeah. Yes.
My wife likes it. It's her favorite
nice
hat. It's the second one she bought for me because I left the first one at I think it was like the 2017 Chamber of Commerce business, whatever. I left it there because I'm not allowed to wear a hat there, right? But like, you know, it's a crown for me. You know what I mean? My wife gave it to me. She's happy with it.
Yeah.
You know, it protects my head, right?
That's really sweet.
Yeah, but people see it as a hat.
Yeah.
Right? They don't see it as like, this is something that means a lot to me.
Yes.
Right? Just like, you know, my wife hates my ring because I bought it at the pawn store because it's my third one.
Oh, jeez.
Lost the first one in 6 days in Hawaii.
Oh.
I know exactly where it is. No one's getting it. Don't worry about it. But well, thanks for chatting with me. I won't keep up any more of your time so you can move on. And thank you for tuning in. If you're new, consider subscribing. We're on YouTube, Spotify, wherever it be, trying to make people pull up, get $15 from Reeve, have a coffee, get to know someone, and actually put some community back into Kamloops. There's a lot of keyboard cowboys out there. I'll meet with you if you want to meet. I ain't scared. But other than that, what do you would like to say to finish things off?
Thanks for having me. Yeah, it was enlightening.
Yeah, I'm a weirdo. Cheers.